You're listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I'm going to empower you and teach you how to live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I combine ministry, science, and spirituality to reveal the steps you need to let go of your perceived limitations. Have you had the limiting self-talk over and over? Have you noticed you allow your fears to hold you back? If you're truly ready for change, I invite you to join me, Tracy L. Clark, and start your journey of transformation now. Welcome to the Tracy L. Clark Show. I'm your host, Tracy L. I am so excited. We have an incredible episode ahead of us today. I am the creator and founder of the Body Regeneration Method, teaching you to listen to the whispers of your body. So lately people are like, you're like a body whisperer. And that's what I do. Empower you, uplift you, and motivate you to really get clear on your intuition, because we are heading out of the time of really, you hear a lot of crystals, chakra clearing. That's only going to get you about 1% of where you need to go. And this is why I'm so excited to have our guest here today with us, Ingrid De La Mare. She will say it way better in her beautiful accent, so I'm always going to apologize for that. But she's a real testament to what it is to take action in your life, to listen to your intuition. As a health specialist, a Pilates expert, but she's so much more than that, a motivator, an uplifter. Her Part of My French podcast is off the charts if you have not heard it. But one of the things I love about Ingrid, I've known her for over 5 years, and she is all about the truth of her journey. She's the truth of getting real with who you are and understanding what intuition really is, understanding her strong faith. And I can say, when I first met Ingrid, she was coming out of a hole, and now I couldn't be more proud. She is helping thousands, hundreds of thousands of you around the world really get in tune with your body and understand what it's telling you. And Ingrid, I'm so happy to have you here today. I can't express my gratitude. We always have so much fun.
Hi, thank you for having me. What an intro. Wow, I'm like almost ready to tear up just because I know me so well. And that makes me feel like you are so proud of me and how far I've come. That's amazing. Like the intro just blows me away. Thank you so much.
Well, I am, because you're real. And, one of the things I want to start with is because I always talk about shifting the energy, but understanding what your body is telling you. And you have done a lot of speaking lately. And I'm a big proponent of people understanding their words and what they say and how it affects the body. And when I was reading your post, and if people, you got to go read her post about diet and the word die in diet, when you brought that up, and what I always say is you got to watch what you're telling your body, because it hits it. And when I saw you post that, I saw the energy behind it. When people say I'm on a diet, they're actually energetically setting up their bodies. It's not even failure to prepare to actually die and fall off.
Like, absolutely.
How did you really,
absolutely.
When you kicked on this, and no one talks about that and how diets really affect body, and you got it.
So first of all, you have to know that I have an absolute passion for writing. I'm good at writing. I'm a very good creative writer. And I have an attachment to words. I understand them. I use them very accurately. I think my French upbringing has a lot to do with that, because my mom was very attached to the French language. She always said, if you're going to speak a language, you have to be accurate. You have to honor the language you're speaking. And so it's very much the same with English. I have a connection with words. I've realized that some of my words have become very powerful with people. And that's why I'm very careful with what I say nowadays. Not that I'm trying to be hypocritical or anything, but I'm very careful about the energy that my words put out there, because I realized that they influence. Now, the way that die came into my mind, the way I realized it is, when you become a little bit popular on Instagram and you start to influence people, they send you messages like they actually know you and trust your opinion. And all these people that say, I've been dieting my whole life, I've been doing this. Each time I read those messages, I would be like, these people are dead inside. These people are literally dying on the inside. They don't realize that they're hurting their body so much with diet. And that's how I made the correlation. And it makes so much sense, because you have taught me about the power of words. This is something you tell me each time we have one of our sessions. Ever since I know you, you've taught me a lot of what I know. I've realized that my words have power because of where I am today in, in this social media space. But to me, I realized that even a name has power. I'll give you an example. My middle name is Dina. In Hebrew, Dina is a very bad connotation, din, of justice. When you see what my background is, and when I got into legal trouble with the law, like I got into trouble with the law, like energetically, a lot of people around me that deal with religion and spirituality said, "Oh my gosh, we need to change your name," because I became a victim of injustice. So to me, words have a lot of power. The fact that people write books and they put the word diet on their books and there's the word die in it, that's really there. It's something you look at. Subconsciously, you're looking at the word diet. Technically, each time you say I'm on this diet, you write it on your notebook. You read a book that says diet.
Yeah. And
does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. And it's so true. The power of the words. This is what I really do love about you, is you've picked that up, because the power of the words affect like what our bodies are doing. And we love to talk about this conversation, and I can't wait to get into about you talk a lot about cortisol. You talk a lot about the stress, and what I do on the other side is get them to look at, okay, what is causing the stress so they can remove it. And you do a lot. You've got that correlation. We were talking about it on your podcast. If you guys haven't listened to it, you got to go to the Pardon My French podcast. You have lots of great stuff there. But it was really, when we were talking about some of my clients that had these miraculous, things that are happening, and it was because they moved the stress out. And what I love about what you're teaching people is to say, these are the things we can do to help your body repair and restore and regenerate, that people haven't even understood because they're so busy chasing outside that image, that look. They forgot that it's this self-love inside. They forgot. And one of the things you say a lot, and I want to get into more of this with you, is like, we talk about intuition. And one of the things you are so good at, you say to people, follow your intuition. Like, don't, if you don't want to get up and have breakfast, like I know in Canada, we just got a huge food guide that I'm like, oh my God, who would eat all that food to begin with, right? But when you meet people and you start to say, follow your intuition, because you're very connected, it's not religion, you have a strong faith like me, very different, but follow what your body is feeling. What's the feedback you get from people right away? Because a lot of people don't understand what that means. They're looking for the pill, they're looking for the shake, they're looking for all of this to transform their health.
That's true. So you have to know, before I say that, I'm very careful. I introduce it very slowly. I don't just throw the word intuition because it has a spiritual connotation. A lot of people have lost their intuition, never mind even knowing what the word means. But I first give them a very easy understanding of their body. Like you said, I speak about cortisol, and I say, well, cortisol levels, will affect your insulin resistance. And then your insulin resistance is the reason why you're storing fat in your midsection and you can't lose it even though you're dieting. I kind of slowly, even, pardon my French, the podcast that you came on is all about bringing this small assets of information to people, tools, I call them tools of understanding their body so they can then use their intuition. But without the understanding of their body, like you said, on the inside, rather than outside influences and outside medications and outside supplements to kind of mask whatever symptoms they're dealing with, whether it's weight gain, whether it's skin issues, whether it's digestion. It's kind of like, first it needs to ring true to people, and the only way it's going to ring true is if I give them the science, the research behind it, and the experience that I've had with all ages. Not just say, hey, it's me, Ingrid, with a six-pack, I'm natural. No, I tell them the truth. I say I've had miscarriages. I have had different hormonal issues. I've gone through different things. We've said that on the first time that I came on the radio show, and then showing them that experience brought me to saying, okay, this is how your body works, and this is how you're going to use your intuition. So first, give them the tools to understand their body, and then say, what does your gut tell you? Follow
Yeah.
your gut. That bit is always right.
Yeah. And I think that we've gotten away from listening to our gut, because really, if I can clarify for people, intuition is just your feelings and your perceptions of what's happening around you, right? And making a decision from that. And people have not really mastered that in their system. And one of the things that I've found that you do as well that is really, I say different, I guess different, and especially because we have a large North American audience, right? That
Right.
you talk a lot about the getting in touch with your system, but then also the difference between the
The French
North
culture.
American way of being and
The
the
French
French
culture,
culture.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest, I can say, what do you find to be the biggest misconception with people when they're trying to get their health back in their body?
So the biggest misconception and the big difference between North America, which is where I'm from originally, even though I have French roots, I'm very familiar with the North American way of thinking and dealing. But the biggest misconception, unlike the French mentality specifically in America, is that more is better.
Yeah.
Whereas in France, less is more. And so
Yeah.
it goes with everything. People think they need to supplement their diet with protein. And so they have protein powder.
Mm.
Well, actually in France, they go, if you have chicken and you have fish, why are you adding protein powder and causing more of a health issue? Most of those protein powders have whey in them, and they are known to cause a lot of hormonal
Yeah,
and health issues.
yeah, it's
And
interesting you
actually,
say
Dr.
that.
Gondry from the Plant Paradox says that weight ages you. So can you imagine people are supplementing, constantly supplementing, whereas in France, people do not supplement.
Yeah. You know what? It's so true. And I love you said that, because I one time, long time ago, when I was working out a lot, and she froze there, she'll come right back. When I was supplementing a lot, and like in terms of working out, and then somebody had said to me, you need to up your protein. I was at the gym, you should try this protein powder. And when I did, I got really, really sick, and I actually started to break out. And what I realized, things are just coming back. It sometimes happens.
Oh, I thought I lost you.
We lost you there. And, I got really sick. And then my body, I knew right away, didn't like it. And I started looking at these ingredients, and I was like, because I really believe in what you say, whole foods, eat your food, guys. Like, don't sit there and
Eat
all
my
these
food.
supplements and all these shakes. And I'll tell you, what I noticed the first time, it was, oh God, it had to have been over 15 years ago. I started getting, I only took a couple of these drinks, and they'd recommend at the gym. I started getting kidney pain, like really bad kidney pain.
Yeah.
And that's when I stopped. I'm like, my body, because I knew enough that I was on my journey. My body was going, I don't want to do this. And I think that also in North America, like you say, and I want people to understand this, is just because somebody says it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for you.
Yeah, it's true. It's
And that's,
absolutely true.
yeah.
So there's this thing about, and it's very North American, because very often I deal with French people for business, and I end up taking my business to Germany and England, because I even say to my husband, these people don't want to work. They say
Yeah.
it's so much like it is that they don't make the sale. That's so
Yeah.
crazy. In America, all these gurus, all these people advising you on your health have a gain they're looking at. So you constantly have to, unfortunately, look at the person and go, okay, what does this person have to gain by educating me the way that she does? Of course, I educate people about having a prebiotic, probiotic, and now I sell them. But it first started with me educating people, and then people saying, well, how do I get a prebiotic in my body? And for a long time, I did not sell a prebiotic, and I said, well, you have to have kefir yogurt and labneh, and you have to have fermented cheese, and I wasn't selling it. And then I came out with it when I said they were having a really hard time having it.
Yeah. You know, I have to give you kudos. Love your inulin. It's amazing. Saw you just have the kefir, which is amazing. But you know, one of the things you told me, and we were having a conversation, and was the raw cheese. And I have to tell you guys, it's really interesting. My body feels amazing. Ingrid's like, try the raw cheese. Oh, she's coming right back. And it is, it's beautiful. And it is about listening really to what your system has to say. It's about expanding you into more of who you are and saying, are you important enough to really do your own homework, your own space of taking back your life? Like, how I always say to people, how important are you? You know, when people say, I want a pill or I want a drug or I want something like that, I'm like, one thing I say back to them is, okay, well, you need to make these changes. You know, you need to make them. They say it's hard. It's not hard. But I'm like, are you important enough? And you know, most people say, no, I got other things to do. Oh, I think, did you know, that's usually the answer that comes back? That they're not important enough to take back their health, to learn, to research, and they just want that quick fix. Oh, we might have lost her again. We got it. Sometimes that happens. She's going to sign on and sign back on so we can have her. She has so much to say. And I want to pose this question while we're just waiting for Ingrid to come back on, is to pose this question is, how often have you not made yourself a priority, important enough? Because without your
Sorry, I
health,
keep losing you.
that's okay. You're back in and out. It's all right. We're live. We just keep going. You know, when people say they're not important enough and they don't make themselves a priority, when I have to say that the simple things that you give them, the recipe books, they're so easy. They're so easy to follow. And this is what I love. Like, they're so easy. Oh, we got you back there. You hear me? Good.
Yeah, you got me back. I keep losing connection. I'm not sure if it's near
Okay.
you or if it's your snowstorm kicking in.
We're all good here. It happens sometimes. But for people not to be important, because you've made it simple for them, simple to get back. And this is what I love. Literally, you know, you've made it simple for people to understand how to reconnect to their body. You've gotten rid of all the noise and all the garbage.
That's what I tried to do. And I noticed that the more people understood how their body works, the more they were able to go back into their intuition and more reluctant to take shit from the outside and put it in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've been saying to people, first, this is how your body works. This is how, you know, your hormone works. People never went into dieting thinking of their hormones.
Never.
Even though they would like lose their period or have weird mid-cycle symptoms, like, you know, things that are not supposed to happen. And they don't even ask themselves for a second, well, could this be connected to my diet?
Yeah.
But the thing is, the minute people started to understand from what I've shared, and a lot of it was sharing my health journey, a lot of it was sharing my story, things that usually women like me don't like to share. Nobody likes to say, oh, I had a few miscarriages. Oh, when I was a ballet dancer, I lost my period. You know, but I literally had to share that stuff so my story could resonate. And so my audience could start listening to my story and kind of like put a parallel with their own and say, hey, this is me. I have estrogen dominance. So why am I eating so much soy? Because soy is supposedly healthy. And then they realize that they have a lot of soy hidden content in milk that they drink or in foods that they eat every day, and a lot of processed food. So it's like it was just a way of giving them the tools. And once they have these tools, they go, well, with these tools, now I can use what Ingrid refers to as my intuition. This is why we say I have a gut feeling. I feel it in my gut. I have a gut feeling that I should not be eating that, rather than I cheated on my diet. The book on page 18 said I should not be eating that. Two very different things.
Oh, you just sparked on something. When you said that, you could feel the listeners go, oh, it's easy to cheat on diet. Like, oh my God, like the whole world's going to end because maybe you grabbed a cracker or something. Can you explain more of that? Like, when people, I want to remove this perception people have that you have to just like eat your carrots and whatever. You know, when they say diet or whatever, we know it's killing their body, but why is there so much shame and guilt put into the body from your perception of what you've seen? I won't go into the energy side of it, but from what you see, with people about that. Like if they stepped out of line for a minute, because in truth, will their body digress that quickly? Because there's a lot of misinformation. If you have that one little bit of chocolate, you're going to gain the 10 pounds back.
It's a little bit like a hamster wheel, especially in North America, because what's happened in North America is that the food industry has made people fat. People were not born fat, and they were not born with genetics to be fat. But
Correct.
the food industry has put so much crap in the food that they've made people fat. And then to remedy to that, they've made more crap that they've promised them would reverse the effects of the crap they've put in the food in the first place. So now people are in kind of this, hamster wheel, going and running around in circle, trying to undo what the actual processed food that they've been eating is doing with diet food and diet preconceived ideas that are keeping to make them this way. Now, what happens is there are two aspects to that. There's the mental aspect, where when you come into a diet mentality, which is very much of a mentality in North America, and anybody from the young teenage girl to the skinny girl, to the chubby girl, to the athletic girl, to the person that's obese, everyone is on a freaking diet. That's just a given. If you're not on a diet, people look at you so weird. Like, what do you mean? Are you going to have those 2 slices of pizza? And you go, yeah. And they go, but how could this be? No one is allowed to eat this anymore. Is allowed. So there's a whole industry, and the diet industry has become so good at being the norm. Dieting has become something that people live by. They don't know how to live without it. They're scared of food. So in France, food is your friend. Food is a ceremony. Food is a gathering. I think that I've mentioned this so many times, and I might have even mentioned it the last time I came on your radio show. But when you show, there was a survey with French people. I have to repeat it for those that have not heard it. They showed a piece of chocolate cake to French people, and they showed a piece of chocolate cake to American people, North American people. And they asked, so it was a survey, the same amount of people to say what came to their mind. The French said celebration and birthday. The Americans said guilt and cheating.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
And so for me, that was a big wake-up call. When I found that survey, I understood exactly what was happening. And it's all a mindset. Now I'll take it further to the physical aspect of it. We were talking about cortisol. The minute that you are born into generation diet, you go into constantly this stressed out mode. Each time you have to decide what you eat, you're making a decision that is potentially a decision that's setting you up for failure, because it is not to the norm of that diet or its carbs or its macros or calories. And you're going into this mode. So the minute you're deciding what to eat from the morning, you're bringing your cortisol levels up with high stress about what you're eating. So by the time you're actually absorbing your food, your leptin hormone, which is your satiation hormone, is already not satisfied, because you've had a whole cortisol level high that brings your insulin, that brings your body to resisting insulin. And so you're constantly hungry for this reason, because the leptin hormone is a hormone that is very mental. That sends neurological, I want to say, signals to your brain of being happy or sad. But when you've put so much thinking already behind the aspect of food, behind the idea of food, before you've even absorbed your food, 60% of you has already decided that you're failing. And so your cortisol levels go up. That's your stress level, which creates resistance and which makes you gain weight just from the way you're thinking.
Yeah. I always say,
does that make sense?
Yeah, beautifully said. I always say it's a resistance and a hesitation and a block that it creates in the body. And how many of you, like Ingrid said, are listening going, yeah, I get up and I'm like, I can't eat that, or I can't eat that. And that is those words that we were saying earlier that come into the body, and the body your body hears everything in your mind, everything out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
Like I always say, try to put your mind in another body and walk around with it and see how long it would be your friend. We probably say, see you later. But it's true. There's so much judgment. And I know I hear of little young girls here, like 6, 7 years old. They're already on this wheel, right? And you have a very large, you're a big influencer, especially on Instagram. And I want to ask, how do you deal with a little bit of change subject? Because this contributes to stress and it also contributes to the young people, people that are, when people, they might be not so kind, and you've
Yeah,
created such an incredible platform to help people. And I know your heart is like, I want to help, I want people to get this information so they can live healthy, because you and I both know what it's like to not live healthy, guys. It's not fun, and it's very, very
absolutely.
hard. And what I see a lot is a lot of young people, they say to me, they're like, Tracy, I have to diet because I don't look like this person. Or they start blaming, and they look. And how do you handle that? How would you suggest, as somebody that you have your haters and your lovers, and to these young people especially that listen, that say, I got to go on a diet, I don't look like that, and they start blaming each other, and it's really, I don't know if I'm saying it all right, because there's
It's
so much
hard.
I want to ask you.
It's
It's
hard.
hard because that
And
increases
that
your
makes
stress.
for, yeah, that increases your stress, and that makes for incredible disordered eating, eating
Yeah.
disorders. And I never thought I would have a younger crowd like Savannah, who's 17, or women that are 20 or 25. But I ended up having an audience that's younger also, even though I was talking of hormones and all of that. And yes, those are the ones that struggle with the body image and dealing with people that Photoshop themselves. The first thing that I will say, because I still deal with it, women are
Yes.
mean at every age. Women are mean at every age. What I say to myself and what I say to my daughters, even when they read those nasty messages, whether it be about my body or my face or my belly button, I had something about my belly button. Um,
I have
First
to
of
say
all,
that one made me laugh the most, because I know you well enough. I just had to say, I'm like, are people
my
really
belly
going here?
button.
Let's be more kind. Because if people were more kind, then we would have healthier
Yeah.
bodies.
But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, your body is yours to love. Before you meet a man that's going to love your body, before you have an audience that's going to love your body is yours to love. It's here to stay. It's yours. And remember that the standards of beauty were created by society. And
Yeah.
if you look at our society today, it's very, very screwed up. I'm not going to say the F word, even though, I use it a lot. So I
It
don't think
is
your producer will be super happy.
true.
But so what I say to these girls is, whatever people think of you is obviously none of your business. It's
Yeah.
their business. Because if someone's going to take the time to go and look at a human body, which is a beautiful creation, the
Mhm.
human body is a stunning creation. We get overwhelmed when we see a new iPhone. We're like, oh my God, Steve Jobs was amazing. How come we don't do that with the body? How come we don't look at another woman's body and say, oh my God, God is amazing, or whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
if you don't
Yeah.
believe in God? Nature's amazing. The body is incredible. Love it. Love it in order
Yeah.
to learn to help it function. And so I say to these girls, whatever people think of your body is obviously none of your business. This person obviously has a problem with themselves, because someone who doesn't have a problem with their belly button, with their butt, is not going to go comment on yours.
Yeah, it really, and that's what I really want people to understand, is stop this comparison energy. Because when you're comparing, and usually when people start getting loud or blaming about image and body image and all of this, it's about their insecurities. And if more people can
Absolutely.
understand that it's all their insecurities, don't, because this is one thing that I really, and I see it with all ages, and to really help them to understand that that is their insecurities. It isn't anything to do with you.
Absolutely.
And I think now we're in a society where people just want to be liked and accepted because they haven't found that within themselves, right? It's external.
Yeah.
And you're so right. Our bodies, I always say, are beautiful, and we chose to come in these bodies. Like, we obviously, here we
Absolutely.
are, like, we picked them on some level. Yet we're never going to get away from ourselves until we die. Like, really, you're with this vessel for this whole lifetime, to really embrace it. And can you share, like, when did you really learn to love your body? Like, what was that turning point for you where you went, oh my God, I'm really loving my body? And had you ever been on that when you were in North America, that crazy diet train, or did you from a young space already know not to be?
Okay, so lucky for me, I was raised by French parents.
Yeah.
So this, this whole self-love and not being stressed about food and this whole aspect. So I've never truly struggled with food, but I have struggled with my appearance. I've been too skinny and people thought I was too skinny.
Yeah.
And then there were times where I looked at myself and I had this disproportion perspective on my body and find myself bigger. And then I would look at myself on pictures and say, oh my God, I look pregnant when I actually didn't. Um, I have to say that the best way for me to get out of that was to start watching my daughter Savannah grow up into a woman and shaping up into a woman, because I could see that the struggle was real and I didn't see it. She was struggling. And I looked at her and said, oh my God, but she's magnificent. She looks like Jennifer Lopez. And she
Oh,
really
she's
does.
beautiful. Yeah, she's in your
She has
media.
all of that. But she was,
Yeah.
and I started to look at myself and say, okay, I've got to learn to love my body so I can teach this girl to really look at herself in the mirror and see herself for who she is and what she looks like. So it's very much of a mental thing, but the best way to start loving your body is to take your health into your own hands. And this I was able to do the best I could when I moved to Europe, because you actually know what goes into your food here. And that for me made a huge difference. At that point, you start loving not only your body appearance, but you start controlling what goes into your body, not by restricting quantities. I'm talking about the quality of the food you put into your body. And thus you start loving it. You start loving the whole process of feeding yourself and of seeing your body, your skin becoming beautiful because you ate enough protein, and seeing your hair growing, all of that without relying on masking symptoms type of supplements.
Oops. What, sorry, my kitties have decided to join us here like they always do on our show. And it is true. It's that, like, that space. And I know what you're saying. When I was younger, I had body dysmorphia, and it's why I love hearing what you have to say to people. It's all our mental space and letting that go. And I love how you used your daughter as such a great reflection to even anchor in more of you, who you are and who she is. And
Absolutely.
she's become such a little powerhouse in her own little way and out there and taking the lead. Like, and I think for parents too, to really start to understand, take the lead. And if they see you making those healthy choices, I believe in North America, it becomes a lot harder for people because they are inundated with the quick fix. They're inundated with fast food. And one of the things I want to share, when I was traveling through Europe, I ate like crazy. Like, the food was so lovely. And I ate more than I'd ever eaten before. And I came home and I lost weight.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And
Two
I
aspects
realized,
to that. First, it's the quality of the food, first of all.
Yeah.
And the fact that you relaxed about it. The fact that you were not constantly like, oh my God, I should not be eating that. Because that whole self-torture in your mind contributes to putting your hormones out of whack. And when I'm saying hormones, don't think reproductive hormones.
Correct.
We're talking about cortisol levels. We're talking about your ghrelin hormone, which is your hunger hormone. We're talking about your adrenal glands. All of these hormones are actually the whole vector of what's making you lose or gain weight.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you relaxed about it, and the fact that you were eating real food with less processed content, is the reason why you were able to eat a little more and not gain weight.
Well, I'll tell you, I came home and now I do the 100-mile, like, I go to the farms, and it really was an inspiration. If I can encourage anyone to do that. It's interesting. It reminds me of a study Dr. Emoto did. He was a water scientist who's no longer with us, but years ago did a film that he was on. And one of the things that he talked about was writing love on your food, this relationship that you're saying. So there's a lot of science behind it. He's like, write love on your food before you eat it. And what you're saying with this huge relationship with food, and And I love that you brought up that study, because everything is a relationship in our world, right? Whether it's your food, your spouse, your children, your work, it's yourself, it's all about relationship. And if you could say, I want to talk a little bit about the inulin and the kefir too, but I want people to understand this. If you could give somebody that is like, okay, I've hated my body forever, I don't even really know where to start. And they know energetically they're tired. They can't get up in the morning. They're not sleeping well. They're looking at their bodies saying, I don't like myself. And a big excuse here is, well, I've had 3 kids and I've gained all this weight, so that's why I can't lose it. And I agree with you. It is stress. It's mental. It's space. What could you say to those people that are listening that are like, I'm so tired of this space, not feeling my best to start to rethink their body?
It's a great question. And it's actually, I don't know if you might have not yet because you've been busy, but if you listen to my latest episode of Pardon My French, it's all about insanity. So I called it.
Oh, I actually just saw it, but I was on the airplane till 1 a.m. trying to get home.
Here we go. So you know what? This is just serendipity, the fact that you brought this up, because in this episode, I come out and explain the brain and gut axis. So it's like from the brain to your gut, there's a huge relation, there's a huge correlation, and it goes back and forth. Meaning that whatever you eat does affect your brain functions, does affect your sleep, your anxiety, and your mindset about things, like even depression. Yes. And I discovered this very early on in age because my son was on the spectrum of autism, and one of his brilliant doctors, and I'm talking to you about early 2000s, so people didn't speak about gut health and didn't speak about any of that, or gluten-free, told me, okay, he needs to stop eating gluten, he needs to stop eating soy, he needs to stop eating processed food. And at first I did not believe that doctor, because it didn't make sense to me. I was 22 years old, and like, how does food affect my son's learning disability, and how does it affect his cognitive, brain to body function? But in fact, once my stubbornness settled, I decided to follow the doctor and removed gluten pasta and removed bread. And I had to get very crafty because at the time there was no gluten-free anything in supermarkets. Automatically, he regained about 40% of his cognitive and brain functions. He was starting to function 40% better than he was before. So what I have to say to these people that are in that space of depression, not being happy with their body, it all starts in your gut. Yeah. Everything is in your gut. And chances are, if you're dieting, you have gut imbalance. And that's where you have to go. You have to go to the root of your problem, probably your depression, your lack of sleep, your hormonal imbalances are starting in your gut. And this is why emotionally, when you feel stressed out, you get nauseous. Did you ever wonder why? When you fall in love and you meet somebody, you get butterflies in your stomach. What does this tell you? The brain and the gut are all correlated.
Exactly. And interesting, in Eastern medicine, where I spent a lot of time in the East, they actually, and this is where I learned this, they do know that the stomach, the whole gut, energetically is where you process life, right? It's the processing center of life. So it's exactly true with what you're saying on a different approach, that yes, your brain, so how you're processing is all going in your gut. And that, I love what you say there, because it does all match, right? And it, like, when people can get their processing center moving properly. So can you talk a little bit about, I want you to talk about, because you just brought up the kefir, but the inulin, because what a game changer. Now, I'll say when I started it, I got really bloated. I will say that happened. I wasn't, but you and I had a conversation, and because even though things were feeling good, I don't have any cravings for anything. I mean, like sugar, salt. And I used to be a chipaholic, people. So literally when my period would come, I needed the salt. I have none of that anymore. Can you talk about the inulin and why it's such a game changer for the body?
Okay, so the inulin is fiber. It's pure fiber. It's artichoke root that's milled into a powder that looks like cocaine. But it's extremely potent. It does. One more time, I had to bash the United States when it comes to the inulin they have on the market because of lack of regulations. Only perhaps 49% of an inulin product in North America is going to be actual inulin, and the rest, which doesn't have to be disclosed, will be a type of gum or compound that keeps the powder together. Whereas in Europe, it's extremely regulated. And so if they tell you that you have pure inulin, you get pure 100% inulin, and that's it. And so what happens with inulin, and specifically ours, which is made in the UK, is that it is a prebiotic that is soluble. So you put it in your coffee, you put it in your soup, you put it in your baked goods. We've been making brioche muffins and things like that. What happens is that it feeds your good gut bacteria. Now, if you don't have enough fiber and you don't have something like inulin, your good gut bacteria has very little to feed on. And that creates resistance to insulin. So each time you're going to eat some fat, your microbiome is going to go, oh my God, this person never gives me anything to feed my good gut bacteria. So I'm just going to keep storing the fat. And so when you have the inulin, your gut is kind of starting to balance out. It's feeding your good gut bacteria. And so it's no longer holding on to insulin, to fat. And it's no longer giving you those cravings either, because what it is cravings is your ghrelin hormone being completely unbalanced by bad gut health. So the minute you balance it all out in there, all of your hormones are aligned, and the signals in your brain are being told, okay, we're not hungry. We don't want any of that. We want green veggies. We want protein. That's pretty much what happens with inulin.
Yeah, the snack, I'll tell you guys, the snack, or that need for that snack, totally went away. And when I was away, where it was minus 51, and so no one could go out, right? So no one could go out. We had a great time, but when it's that cold, you can't go out. But I hadn't had any craving. So everybody's around, they're visiting, and they're having these snacks. And then I try some, and I'm like, ooh, like just totally.
You don't even eat that.
Oh, I'm like, well, you can have that, but I couldn't. You add a few, and when you haven't had it because you're not craving it. And I think for people to understand, if you have really, really bad, I hear a lot. There's a big thing in North America. People always show up saying they have leaky gut, right? So is it safe to say if you've got these leaky guts, it's huge here. It's a huge issue. Everyone's talking about leaky gut. Is this the good place for them to start to get on the inulin? I know you sell it. I know you have suppliers now. We've been letting people know in Canada, you can get it at the Unique Concept store. Love her. She's beautiful. And you have more people in the US. And why do I want to talk about this? Because people, it literally is a game changer. Would you recommend for all these leaky gut people to start?
I would. Yes. IBS, leaky gut, absolutely. But now, so you have to know Giovanna, the owner of Unique Concept, which is a store in Ontario near you, she just started as an inulin user. That's how it started, because she sells cute clothes and things like that. But the great thing about this is that
go check it out.
It's a fantastic store, but people that start selling My Simply Inulin are usually people that are advocates for it because it's done something for them. And so what happens is yes, if you have leaky gut, if you have IBS, if you're suffering from some gut health issues, inulin is absolutely the place to start, along with a very balanced, I don't want to say diet, a very balanced nutrition. Very balanced eating habits. Now, the great thing is about inulin is that it does level back your hormones. So your body's intuition for the food that's right for you comes into play. Like you said, today, you don't feel like eating chips anymore. It's your body intuition that's come back to life. Your body intuition now, because your gut is balanced out, tells you, I don't need that. I don't need that to feel happy. I need this or that. I need chicken. I need meat. I need fish. Or I need artichoke. I have a lot of people sending me messages saying, why do I crave artichokes? I'm like, because your body probably needs it. That's the bottom line. So for those people, it's great. Now, for people that are dealing with stuff like Candida, FODMAP, and SIBO, they cannot have inulin because another part of their microbiome, you have the prebiotic and probiotic part. Balancing your gut health is a microbiome where you have prebiotic, probiotic. People that cannot have inulin because they have SIBO, FODMAP, or Candida are people that are literally have their no good gut bacteria, or it's eating at itself and it's reacting badly to inulin. So those people need to start and heal themselves with a probiotic. And we also do. You and I, now that inulin works great, we might find other aspects in our everyday life. We're a little bit tired anyways, even though the tummy became flat, or, it's like my stomach got flat, but my sleeps are still disrupted. What could be the problem? Your microbiome might need a probiotic. That's why we came up with Simply Kefir as well recently. I was telling people, sending them out to eat raw fermented cheese, like I told you, because I said to you, Tracy, you need to go to the farm. And you said, great, I've been going to the farm my whole life. Now I know what to look for. But not everybody has access to a farm. Not everybody can have lactose, which is a problem. A lot of people have food intolerances. Food intolerances are usually the result of an unhealthy gut. So inulin does help with that, but it will not help someone that, for example, cannot tolerate eggs. On the other hand, a probiotic, along with a prebiotic, so simply inulin with either raw fermented cheese or kefir or labneh or our Simply Kefir, will kind of go full circle and be completely balanced and really start losing weight by eating intuitively and eating real food without dieting. That's the magic of the balanced gut.
I love this. The other thing I want to share with people, because I haven't even told you this. So we were talking about this and how it bounce offline. And I told you how I didn't like olives, right? Didn't like olives, blah, blah, blah. And then my partner said, he brought home these olives. And I said, okay, Ingrid said I should eat, 4 or 5 olives a day. And so all of a sudden, and it's been since all these adjustments, I have been eating them and enjoying them, which was something my body was rejecting for so long. So now we have this routine. We eat like a few, at least 4 or 5 every day, but I couldn't even, for years I tried them and I couldn't handle an olive. And I thought, how interesting that now these ones come direct from Greece. And I'm sure that's a big part of it, not just like
they're good. They're
very, very good. But I thought, how interesting that my body is now accepting more of these really good foods that are so good for it. So I hadn't even shared that with you, which is absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
It validates what I prescribed. I'm so happy being that
I'm
not a doctor.
Well, I love it because we both go back and forth with our findings and understanding, like you said, like listening to the body and the intuition. And what I really want the listeners to know, and you promote this, is like having fun in life and more joy in life, and the celebration of your food, the celebration of your body, the celebration of your day, right? And how when you get into that mode, it makes a big difference of how you're actually processing, which will remove the stress. And when that stress goes,
and the fear,
ailments go. Fear is a big one.
Fear is a big one. People are scared of sunlight, for example, but sunlight is amazing. You need it to balance your hormone. You need it for melatonin and good sleep. And believe it or not, sunlight helps you burn white fat cells. So you need it. But society, again, has scared us from the sun. So people are hiding from the sun and they end up very depressed and sleep deprived and having problems with weight loss. Guess what? Sunlight's a big one. Have 5-10 minutes of sunlight, having your inulin coffee by your window. You're not going to get skin cancer.
No, and they're finding a whole bunch of evidence behind that now. They can go research that, but it's true what you're saying. There's a lot of science now behind that. So where can people find you? Like they got to get on your Instagram. So we know we're going to give them that, but to the website so they can start to do more research. And I want them to just connect to you because again, you and I talk that same language. Love your body, respect your body, be kind to your friends, be kind to the women in your life, the men in your life, and not take that on personally, and really
be kind to your customers also. I find that customers, I always tell followers, they say, oh my God, you answered me back. You answered my message. And I tell them, I'm in the wellness space. This is not a fan club. Your health is not a fan club. Your health is serious. if you take the time to write me and ask for my opinion, I will answer you back. Don't follow people that don't answer you back. I'm not talking about a movie star. I'm talking about someone you're going to rely on for advice about your health. So it's the very same thing. Be kind to people around you. Be kind to your customers. Be kind to your followers. Kindness goes a super long way, and it usually reverts right back to you, which is amazing.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny. You had mentioned that a long time ago. Instagram's more new to me in the last little bit. And so now I get
Yeah.
all the little stories. And you'd said that because I said, what is one of your tips on that? Right. And I love interacting with my people. And I find it's a really easy way to be able to get back to them. And it's beautiful. It's quick, it's fast. And they know that,
Yeah.
yeah, you do care, because you and I have that same philosophy that if we've helped one person that day, wow, we've done a really good job,
Exactly.
because they'll spread
I
that.
mean, if you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook and you're not answering people because you're too busy,
Yeah,
then you're not in the right field, because this
yeah,
busyness is helping these people or
yeah,
exchanging with them. I actually exchange with people that help me every day. I've had people help me with my issues,
yeah.
so it's kind of like it's an exchange. It's not a fan club. That's so important.
Yeah, you know what? It's so true. And that's why it's nice. And it doesn't take that long to say, hey, what can we do
Exactly.
for you? Or how can we help you? Or go check
Exactly.
this out. And so where can they find you? Where can
So you
people?
can find me on Instagram. You can find a lot about me on my website. You can work out with me on themethodmc.com. You can
Yeah,
find our products. But Instagram is a good place to start. And of course, pardon my French. So we have weekly
yes.
episodes. They're all about health, wellness. I bring on a lot of experts. I brought you on, and people loved you, loved your story, loved our story, and all the wealth that you had to share. So, pardon my French podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Screechers. It's a little bit on every podcast platform available.
Well, it's such a wonderful space to be in. And like I said, you are the ultimate of really taking to heart your listening. Oh, there's my cat again. He's always jumping up. Listening to what your body needs and requires, and following through. What,
Yeah.
I know we talked about, and I know we have a few minutes here, the place to start. What would be one of the things you could offer, just as a tip of really how, if you said do this, if you could try to do this on a regular basis, of loving yourself, is there something that you could
Good
say,
question.
yeah, because it's what it's about.
I would say find even 5-10 minutes of solace.
Yeah,
So what I mean by that, like your little piece of heaven, it's very important to me. I have children, I have a business. Everybody wants a piece of me. The minute I wake up in the morning, my office wants something. My director of operations needs to talk to me. My husband wants something. Everybody's gonna want something from you, and that's okay. That's what makes us relevant, makes us do what we do. But find something that makes you vibrate. Something simple, like for me, for example, it's being outdoors and looking at the sea. So
yeah,
that's my solace. So I made it my point to go and find 10 minutes all by myself and denoise and enjoy watching the sea, just watching it. And usually that gives me instant gratitude. So I don't want to start giving my advice by saying, yeah, you have to
mhm.
practice gratitude, because
No,
that's become such a stupid trend. No,
yeah,
find your solace, whatever it is. For some people it's going to go and sit by a duck pond, like I used to do in New York. I used to love going to Central Park and sit by the duck pond. It made me feel like a tourist. I loved it. But I made a point, and I make a point today, 5-10 minutes of my solace. Find what makes you vibrate and do it. 5-10 minutes a day, it's not very much.
and I think people have to remember that they're worth that 5-10 minutes to just take that space.
Yeah.
And again, I'm so proud of you, because you've built what you're passionate about. And I watched you long before it came.
With your
And
help.
yeah, and you went from I have to do this because we've all been there, guys. I have to do this because it pays my bills. But
Yeah.
you are the ultimate. And I just want to say this to all the listeners. Ingrid took her life and said she was important enough and she mattered enough, and has created a foundation and a platform to make you matter enough. And this is what sets her apart from everybody else out there. And I know this because I've watched it, I've seen it, and
You've helped it. You've been my mentor throughout. You don't give yourself enough credit. You're the one who's taught me.
I'm so happy to have seen that. And there's nothing that gives me more joy than seeing people flourish in the things they love. And I'm so happy to have you on. And I know people always ask to have you back. That's why we're back, and you'll be back again to keep helping their gut health. So thank you. I want to just thank everybody for joining us. We're here weekly with you. Check out tracylclark.com. There is a free audio download there to help you sift and shift through things and really get real. And this is one of the things we love is we give you real tools. I think, Ingrid, you can attest to that. Real tools that you can apply to each and every day. Absolutely. Because sitting there just saying a mantra, or like I said, cleaning up the chakras, it's not going to get you to where you need to go. Real life, real tools. And this is what I love about you, Ingrid. You give them real, tangible, meaty tools, and you got a little bit of gangster in there, which I love. So if you guys want to have some fun and get out there. So thank you again, Ingrid, for joining us. I am so honored.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
everyone. The honor is all mine.
Again, she will be back. So check her out and make sure that you follow her on Instagram and get all the juicy updates to restore and repair your health, your life, because you are worth it. We'll see you again next week on the Tracy L. Clark Show. Thank you for listening to the Tracy L. Clark Show with me, Tracy L., where I teach you how to live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where I combine ministry, science, and spirituality, revealing the steps you need to transcend perceived limitations. As a remarkable leader and pioneer in my field, I, Tracy L., will provide insights energetically and the tools required to move you forward. For more information on my partnership program, check us out at tracylclark.com.